Hello everyone, my name is BlackWatch and welcome to another episode of How to Master. And in this episode we're going to be taking a look at Gilles Touré, also known as Montagne. He's an operator who's very useful in the right hands with the right team, and if you can bring him in and implement him correctly, he can win rounds easily with the ability to stand in a corner and look frightening. Let's find out how to make the most of it. So Montagne is a 3 armor, 1 speed operator on the attacking side. He's a member of the GIGN CTU and he has access to 2 primary weapons. Now these are pistols. Now strictly speaking they're actually his secondary weapons because his primary weapon is his Le Roc extendable shield. Now this is also his gadget, so it's lots of different things going on at once, but we'll cover his pistols first. So he's got the P9, which is a semi-automatic French pistol. It used to be an absolutely shocking piece of nasty words anyway, but now it's actually pretty good because the recoil changes made a big difference and the damage has been buffed, so it's more than competent as a primary pistol. And the second one is the LFP 586, which was the go-to pistol. It's a revolver, 6-shot revolver with very high damage, but the recoil is pretty nasty. And just ever since they changed the recoil to make it look the way it does now, it just doesn't feel quite right. There's something a bit off about it, so I don't recommend this one as much anymore, but I know some people do enjoy it. He has access to stun grenades and smoke grenades, and as I mentioned, his unique gadget, which is also serving as sort of a de facto primary weapon, is his extendable shield. This thing, with the push of a button, covers his entire body from top to bottom as long as it's at the front. So nothing can be hit from the front unless someone melees it and then somebody shoots them in the toes. But they need to melee at it and shoot at it at the exact same time, so it's kind of difficult. You've got to coordinate to take him down. But otherwise, he's pretty much invulnerable from the front. And that is why, when you're using Montagne, and we're kind of just jumping straight into it, not doing strengths and anything, because it's a how to master video, and I don't have too much footage time. Basically, you just want to be the cover guy. You're the biggest distraction on the field, because the moment they see you walk into the room, you are an instant problem, because you can just sit there and fester. And by fester, I mean you will always be there. You'll always be a present threat who can drop shield at any moment and start firing. And so they've got to mix their focus between you and the corner there, who's currently maybe not as big a threat because you can't actively exchange fire when you're shielded. But similarly, if you are put in a situation where you feel the need to fire at people, they're going to be really on edge for that possibility. But that's where your teammates come in, because they'll be a secondary threat and they'll be almost a primary threat with the amount of damage that they can really do. So if you walk in the room and you're at one side of the room and your teammates walk in, they're at the totally opposite side of the room, if you distract them enough, your teammates are going to get in and snag a kill. Easy peasy, because you've distracted them. Now that's your main purpose. You're to look after your team, you're supposed to be a distraction, you will be the point man. If the team makes a push, you're at the front, you're absorbing the fire, and you're distracting them enough that hopefully they'll empty shots into your shield, rather than your teammates who will be behind you mopping up the people that you're causing trouble to. Now, if you don't play in this style, that's fine, but I will just mention straight away that offense is not Montagne's key strength, and it never will be, because unlike Blitz, who's fast, who has an actively offensive ability, and has reasonable hipfire accuracy, and pretty decent shield in terms of its ability to slap people down from close range. Montagne obviously has the shield, but he doesn't have much hipfire accuracy, he's not as fast, and he also can't sprint without his shield being exposed, or without his body being exposed. So when he sprints, his shield goes down to the side, whereas when Blitz sprints, his shield is right up in front of him. So it's a pretty big difference, and ultimately his unique ability is one that is designed purely to defend himself. He can't actually act in an offensive manner when he has his shield extended. You have to bring the shield back down to normal size to start firing or using the weapon in any way, shape or form. Because of that, you're going to be relying on your teammates, you're going to be relying on using things like the smoke grenades to cover your entry, Maybe use some stun grenades as well. If you need to run across a room, you want to give yourself a chance to hide, or give yourself a chance to at least be hidden by smoke or something to obscure the sightlines of enemies who may see you from angles that either yourself, your shield, or your teammates can't cover for you. So, maximize that. When you're pushing into a room, ideally, with any push really, you want to know how many people are in a room, a general position, that sort of stuff. With Montagne, it matters even more because the way that you angle the shield and the way that you're looking is the difference between getting shot and not getting shot. If you get shot with your shield facing the right way, no problem. Bullets are just going to absorb into the thing. You won't take any damage. The shield doesn't take any damage. The only thing you have to worry about is the glass getting cracked, but that's just a visual thing. It doesn't actually break, and there's no damage taken through a cracked shield. What your enemy has to worry about is you suddenly turning around or looking the wrong way when you pass by someone who's tucked into a corner. So your big French arse is exposed and your shield is unfortunately not quite there fast enough to stop you from getting your anus perforated by a shotgun. So what you need to do in those scenarios is drone and know your positioning. Pick a place that you're going to move into the room for. Obviously you need to adapt. If someone's going to throw a nitro cell at you, you really need to be looking at the nitro cell, and sometimes the best option is going to be to very quickly look at the nitro, even if you're exposing yourself to fire from the enemy team. The chances are someone who has thrown the nitro cell at you is the only person who's actually looking at you. They're going to be too bothered by the nitro being detonated to actually go and shoot you. Better players may be able to bait your reaction with a nitro cell and then fire at you because you expect them to be detonating. But at most skill levels, generally speaking, people panic a lot when they see a Montagne, so they will just focus on getting that explosive off. What you need to worry about the most is how exposed you are. When you're in a corner, as much as it might feel like you're invulnerable, there's floors, there's ceilings, and there's penetrable walls. So the only time you're really safe is if you're in a place that doesn't have a ceiling, doesn't have a floor. And obviously everything has a ceiling and a floor, more or less. Just not all of them will be destructible. Please don't take the piss. So you want to be in a place that is essentially covered in indestructible surfaces, which doesn't happen very often. One of the examples I can remember from recent memory is a Montagne player who was in Penthouse on Coastline and decided to stand next to the bed behind the little wardrobe. And he did that, and that was all well and good, and he was holding the objective, keeping it secure, and he had a face-off with a Jaeger who was in the room. But then there was a vigil elsewhere on the map who obviously got wind of what was going on and managed to run underneath and fire through the floor, getting a pinpoint accurate position of Montagne and just filling his feet with lead, and that was the round over. These are the kind of things you need to consider as a Montagne player, so that's where you need your teammates to come in. You need to communicate with your teammates. Tell them exactly what's going on, what you can see, who you can see, and what they're doing. Because what matters is, are they going to throw a nitro cell at you? Do they have a nitro cell? If they do, react to it, or let your teammates know. Just don't put your teammates in a position where they're going to run in next to you. The enemy in front of you hasn't thrown a nitro cell, and then when they do, they end up taking out not just you or not just some of your health, but your teammates as well. It's a big play, and it's one that could end up losing you a round altogether. In terms of gunplay as Montagne, it's pretty standard shield fare, really. Apart from the fact that 9 times out of 10 you're not going to be engaged in a firefight, your best option as Mont is to just keep that shield extended. In the clips that I show, there's a lot of shield snapping. There's quite a lot of, I would say, unnecessary risky play. This is mainly because I kind of struggled to get the clips that I'd actually recorded that were really good in terms of covering teammates and stuff to upload into this video, because my software is incredibly unreliable at the moment, and really I just wanted to get the video out and with some guidance. And so it's not 100% essential that you see it in action, but I'm sure you can imagine the majority of the time you're just looking to hold down that button to keep the shield extended and keep your team protected, keep yourself protected, and keep the pressure mounted on the enemy. Occasionally you might want to just bring your shield down, make them think you're going to attack them, because if you do that, if you're sort of baiting them with the sound of the shield going, it's enough for them to look over to you and think, oh Christ, he's going to end up firing at me. And because of that, it will give your teammates an opportunity where that enemy is distracted and they can maybe run in, sweep them up, that sort of stuff. But it's all about mind games as Montagne. It's mind games and positioning. Those are the two key things that you need to master, because if you can get all that down and you can figure out when people are going to be a threat and how to make yourself as active a threat as possible without endangering yourself too much, that's when you're going to see results with Montagne. Because even if your team isn't getting the momentum right on a push on the likes of secure area or bomb, you can be there to be that last line. If you're on bomb, hop in, plant the bomb, and just stand right in front of it. So that way, if somebody's trying to destroy the diffuser in front of you, you're standing there, and the moment they start the animation, you've popped your shield down and you're saying hello. So it's always going to keep them on edge in those situations. Obviously, it's not always easy when you've got like 4 people in front of you, but you can do your best and you can try what you can try. Other situations that are quite fun, standing in doorways as Montagne and blocking people out. If you can time this right and position yourself correctly, you can literally lock someone out of an objective as Montagne. And it's hilarious, because they just panic and they melee you, and there's nothing they can really do to deal with it. You'll occasionally run into sort of shield glitches, but that's just the kind of stuff that you get when you play as a shield. People hopping through windows and somehow managing to morph inside your shield and melee you through it. It's a difficult game to deal with, because ultimately it's not your fault that you've died. It's just the way that the physics engine works. But, you know, it's not always going to be like that, and fingers crossed you're not going to run into those scenarios too often. But that's pretty much all there is to say about Montagne, to be honest. A lot of it's just experience and knowing how to deal with people well. But once you get a team that can work effectively with you and know how to read the cues, how to use your intelligence and build on the positioning and the territory that Montagne gains by moving into a room and essentially closing down sections of the room as he sweeps. Because if you can get deep enough, he's going to make the space behind them essentially a little safe zone for the team, because he's sweeping through, he's clearing and letting people know that, yes, you can come here. And in doing so, he's not taking any damage, and it's a more active way of gaining intelligence than droning, because droning, you throw your drone in, you've done X, Y, and Z, but you're not actually pressuring the objective. It's just preemptive, whereas Montagne is active intelligence gathering with a little bit of distraction and fear as well. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's nice to be back. Yeah, that's basically it. I'll try and get the next ones up as soon as possible. Hope you enjoyed. Do svidania, everybody. But, oh, actually, meant to say, I've got a Patreon now, so if you're interested in supporting me on Patreon, obviously 100% optional, but if you are interested, I've got a link in the description. Any support I receive on that, I hugely appreciate. And I also wanted to say, for anyone that didn't catch my video where I was talking about the reasons I've been away, either go and watch that yourself, or just know that I'm extremely thankful for all the support I've received, and for the fact that I've got 1,000 subscribers now. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anyway guys, take care, have a good week, do svidania.